We can get started. So, good evening, everybody.
Hi.
Hello. I'm LP Mainville. I'm the Director of Sport Development Technology for OVA. Happy to welcome you on this call tonight. We're going to share some information about the tryout window. Just a couple of housekeeping rules, I guess. We are going to mute everybody and ask you to stay muted and ask you questions in the chat during the presentation. Then when we're done, at the end, if there are some more questions and you want to come on and ask it live, we'll allow you to do that just so that the flow of the presentation keeps going and that we can get through all of the content in decent time. So yeah, feel free to use the chat to ask any questions and we'll do our best to answer them either in the chat or on the call with everybody. So let's get started and with our next slide, Carrie, please. I think if you just click on it, it should. Oh, there it is. Perfect. So before we jump into tonight's session, I just want to take a quick moment to share something really, really important. Ontario Volleyball is hosting a Team Ontario sitting volleyball camp from June 19th to the 22nd at Durham College in Oshawa. And we need athletes. The camp is open to para-athletes, but we're also inviting able-bodied athletes to join. Sitting volleyball is one of the most inclusive and competitive forms of our game, and having able-bodied players in the mix helps raise the level of training and support our para-athletes' development. So we need more players to complete a training group for the camp in June so that we can train at a high level and do some scrimmage. So if you're an athlete or you know someone who's 17 years old or older, who's up for a new challenge, wants to stay sharp in the off season, or just wants to be part of something meaningful and high performance, that's an incredible opportunity. So it's a stayover camp with food and accommodations provided. And all the details are online on our teamontariovolleyball.org. I'll put that in URL in the chat in a minute. And with the contact info of the person, you can reach out if you're interested in supporting this initiative. So we have a number of para athletes signed up and just need a few more people to complete the group so we can have a good training camp. So thanks for letting me plug that to the community before we get started with our topic today. So now I'd like to introduce you to someone that many of you already know very well, but not everybody. So this season, we created a new role at the OVA, the Club Services Manager. And that was to better support clubs based on feedback that we got from you and the community. This role is all about building relationships, understanding club needs, and helping us improve how we work together. It includes overseeing the tryout window that we're going to discuss tonight, athlete release process, supporting new club applications, and also being a go-to resource for our club leaders across the province. So we're really lucky to have Carrie in this role. Carrie is here with me from OVA tonight. And Carrie brings over 20 years of experience leading our indoor youth competitions and is someone who knows club volleyball inside and out. She's already been connecting with clubs this year and attending events, and she's here tonight to listen, support, and help us move forward together. So it is my pleasure to now turn the mic over to Carrie, who will talk us through the key info for this year's tryout window. So Carrie, please take it away. You're muted, by the way. I think I'm muted.
Good start. Just want to say thank you to everybody for taking time out of their Tuesday evening. We appreciate it. And hopefully this little presentation will help everybody navigate the process just a little bit easier over the next few months. So our presentation is going to cover an overview of the process in stages. Each stage, we're going to try to answer some FAQs. We're going to go over the athlete bill of rights, and we're just going to go through some tips and hints for parents that are going through the process right now. So at any time, if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat. LP is going to be monitoring that chat, and he's going to, if we have a chance to answer some questions, his timing's going well, you know, some good questions pop up, we'll try to answer them. Excuse me, during the presentation. If not, we will post this on the website along with an FAQ of questions that popped up and where to find the right information, or yeah, and kind of direct you that way. So let's dive in. Okay, so the tryout window is relatively unchanged from last year. And that being said, we're just going to talk about the three chunks of the window. The first one, or the policy, or however you want to name it. Our first one is the re-signing period. And this is when athletes and clubs kind of evaluate how the season went. And they look at what their capacity is for upcoming years, and they can offer you a chance, or your athlete a chance, to recommit to your club for the upcoming season. So a couple of main points here about the re-signing period. It will be on a form. So with the OVA offer form, which is just on the right side of your screen, that's kind of a little snapshot of what an offer form looks like. This is the only official form that we would recognize as a commitment to your club. Important thing to know about this period of time, that just because it opens on June 1st doesn't mean that's when clubs actually have to start sending offers. They have pretty much that whole month to kind of evaluate what they need. You know, we are just coming off a national, so they need some time to process and things like that. So your club may not start sending offers out until later in June, or they might hit the ground running and start doing it in June 1st. So look for your club to communicate for communications on how they're managing that time period. And you know, just kind of take it easy and relax. And if things don't come out right at the first of the month, then there may be a valid reason why. So they have that whole time period to look at what's best for them for the upcoming season. Offers are good for 48 hours. That time period has been selected because we feel that it's the club, if you had a great experience, if you're happy with where you are, we don't feel like there needs to be that much of an evaluation period put into that offer. So that's the rationale for the 48-hour period. Clubs are permitted to collect deposits at this time as well. It could be either refundable or non-refundable, and that should be identified on your offer form. It's all spelled out right there, just right underneath your information. Oftentimes, deposits are deducted off of your full club membership fees once you start the season. Once you're re-signed, that means you can't attend any other club tryouts. You're allowed to attend other training opportunities. You do have to disclose that you are a re-signed athlete, and that you are committed for the club, to a club for the upcoming season. But you're not permitted at tryouts. It's just that creates a lot of muddy waters, and it can often lead to other athletes missing out on opportunities. So that's important to note. Be sure to carefully read your offer, and don't be afraid to ask questions. So we do ask that, an offer does include a team name, an age category, and a coach. If any of these fields are missing, we do recommend that there's notes made on your offer form. So this is that blank little box at the underneath your name information, and that can have any kind of stipulations in it. If that's filled out, great. It kind of gives you clarity on where you stand with the club. It gives you a better idea of what you're walking into in September. And that box definitely needs to be filled out if you're missing any information up above. So we don't want anything to hit you or blindside you come September and you're like, hey, wait a minute. that's not what I signed up for. So if there's anything missing, please make sure that that's filled out. It's okay to ask these questions. Clubs want to make sure they are heard and their offer is understood as well. So the more questions you ask, the better it is for everybody. And also a good resource is all re-signed athletes will be posted on the website. So we are going to have a section of the website that is down, it's like a little drop-down menu. And it'll list the clubs and your team, and then your name should be listed beside it. And that kind of gives everybody an idea of who should be attending tryouts, who shouldn't be attending tryouts. It's also a little gives you information on, where you want to go next year if you didn't get re-signed. So that's kind of what the main bulk of the information for the re-signing period that you're going to need coming just a few days from now. June 1st is when it starts. So this period is a month long. We do have up until June 27th. It is not the full month because we do want to allow clubs to do their administrative work and get the re-signed athletes lists in, and then get that posted on the website. So a lot of questions that we often have walking into this period is a couple of these up here. If you think of anything, you can throw them in the chat below. We're happy to cover them as well. And that will, if we can cover those off at the end of this section, then that's great. So what happens if my club doesn't offer me a re-signing opportunity? It's totally fine. It happens all the time. It doesn't stop you from attending your club tryouts, which is important to note. So if you did not get a re-signing offer, but you still like being a part of the program, you can attend tryouts in September, and you can also continue. It doesn't exclude you from getting an offer to commit as well during the summer months. So just because a re-signing form didn't cross your path, that doesn't mean your opportunity with your club is closed completely. Does my club have to send me a re-signing offer as soon as the re-signing period opens? We touched on that a little bit, and no, they don't. That whole period is for the club to use in a way that best fits them administratively. If they want to work around banquets, if they want to work around having some breather time after nationals, it's all up to them. Like I said, you talk to your club about it. I'm sure they'll let you know when they are going to start sending out offers, or if they're going to send out offers, because not all clubs will use the re-signing period as well. It's all up to them and what suits their program and their operations best. What happens if I'm a recreational player last season? Am I eligible to resign? So if you play in the Spikers House League and you were, part of that program and you have been committed to them, then yes, you're eligible to resign that way. So you'd be eligible to resign in the age category that you would fit in, and whatever age category your recreational league is. So we have had some athletes that have been a part of like a learn to play or a recreational program for a 14U, and they've been able to resign for a club for the upcoming season as a competitive player. So can I change my mind after accepting a resigning offer? You can, but there is one really big important note to make, that your offer form is considered your official commitment to the club for the upcoming season. So that means that you would have to follow the transfer and athlete transfer policy. And in that policy, you would have to follow our release request process. Sounds very wordy. It's not very complicated, but you would have to ask your club for a release and pay the associated release fee. It is important to note that it is up to the club's discretion whether or not to release you. So it is important for you to really kind of take your commitment seriously and really understand what you want to do for the upcoming season. So you can change your mind, but there are steps you have to follow, and there is a small chance that your club will ask you to fulfill the commitment you agreed to when you sign the form. Okay, so that's the re-signing period. As far as I'm mostly familiar with in dealing with, and a lot of the questions that pop up. LP, do we have any other questions come up or?
Yeah, I got that you answered, but maybe a clarification.
Sure.
So you mentioned someone that was part of a house league as a rec player would be able to resign for the club.
Yep.
But what if someone came like to an open house, and just
Um,
trained with them?
No, an open house, no. If that's like our clinic, a one-day opportunity, no. We would look at a recreational program as something that's reoccurring. House League, 8-week program. Learn to plays are often, the same one day a week type of thing. So it would have to be a reoccurring program where there is some sort of commitment there, not just a one-off.
Okay. Great. And then another one here is regarding offers. So, you know how clubs have, let's say, 350 new teams. So you are being re-signed on the club with a promise you'll be with, let's say, the team, I don't know, the Tigers, team A. And then
Mhm.
turns out that when you get to September, they put you on a different team than you thought you were going to be on. Um, what happens then? What are your
So
recourse?
so if that's a great question. Actually, I should have put that in there. If any of your stipulations that are in your offer form are not what you agreed to, there is room for you to not have to go through the transfer policy, and your offer can be considered void. So it's really that's why we ask that those that be filled out. So if completely. So if they say, yeah, you're going to be on our A team, but you end up being on the B team, that is room for saying, hey, wait a minute, that's not what you agreed to. And then you would either ask, they would, work out the
Yeah.
situation with you and the athlete, or you could look for a voided offer. It's also super important to note that it is very common for clubs to offer within an age group. And then as training happens, they split off and to see which athletes work best together. If this is the case, then they should be noted, or you should be aware about it before you sign the agreement. It's really, I feel it's a very good way to organize teams developmentally. You don't know how things are going to pan out and things like that. So it's very common practice for our clubs to have larger training groups with one age division and then split off. So it is,
But
it's
that needs to
something,
be in
yeah.
the form
And
that
then, yeah,
I
this is
sign as an athlete. Yeah. Okay.
exactly. It should be something you can ask questions about, and then you can see clarity on, for sure.
Can you please clarify what you said about once I'm re-signed as an athlete? You said
Mhm.
I'm not allowed to attend another tryout. Does that just include the tryouts that are happening in September or like any open gyms also in the summer?
Open gyms are permitted. You can attend open gyms for other clubs during that time. You need to disclose that you are a re-signed athlete. Not all open gyms, believe it or not, not all open gyms that club run are, for building teams. Some clubs use that for a source of revenue building for their upcoming season, whether they're, looking at just running camps or clinics or coach development opportunities. So not everything that clubs run in the summer are tryout opportunities. So if you are a re-signed athlete, you are able to attend those programs. You do need to disclose that you are a re-signed athlete. Sometimes our re-signed athletes list on the website isn't always viewed by coaches and other programs. So you do need to disclose that. You are not permitted to attend tryouts for other clubs come September.
Thank you. I think we can move on. That's it for now.
Okay, awesome. Um, so the open commitment period or exploring new clubs. This is something we've had for 2 seasons now. It is only opened to 15U and 18U athletes only. Any of our younger athletes, I'm sorry, it's not 15U, it's TLS athletes. I apologize for that. That's an error on my slide. It's not open to our 4v4 and 6v6 athletes. I'll update that, and then I'll have this slide deck posted, and I'll make sure that's updated. I apologize for that. 6v6 and 4v4 athletes, let them, run around in fields in the summer and, explore different sports and things like that. Volleyball is something they shouldn't be worrying about, we feel. And, being dragged from open gym to open gym or what have you. So TLS to 18U athletes only are permitted to commit to signing an offer in September. So athletes can informally commit to a new club during this time. Informally means that there's no OVA offer form. So it's an agreement that is made between you and the club. And it's not something we would formally recognize as an organization. If you are interested in accepting one of these open commitments from a club, clubs should be providing you with key details. Similar details of what's on an OVA offer form, which is my coach, fees, team, and those kind of logistical offers as well. Sorry, I'm a little dry-throated. Commitments can be terminated by both an athlete or a club. There is no transfer or release policy that would need to go through. You would have to go through for this period. And clubs are permitted to ask for deposits. And there's a 7-day cancellation period for those deposits to be returned. So there is some type of time period in there where you can kind of reevaluate or see what's going on. And even though it's informal, you shouldn't be committing to more than one club during this time. Clubs really strive to get organization and a better idea of what's going to happen in September over the summer months, and overcommitting or kind of committing to more than one club can really mess up rosters and planning and budgeting and all this kind of stuff. So we really ask you to please honor your commitments. If you found a program that you really love in the summer and you are able to informally commit to them, then make sure that you're not attending tryouts in September, and that you are kind of honoring that and recognizing that everything has a kind of a trickle-down effect when it comes to this. Just some points on the side. Great questions to ask. Is there a coach committed to the team? What team am I going to be on? What are the club fees listed? And fully understand that you are committing for the full season. So it is still a big responsibility for you to take on. Some FAQs for open commitments. What happens if the club cancels the commitment? If a club cancels the commitment, regardless of the time when they commit it, then they do have to return a deposit. So that's what would happen. And if they cancel the commitment there's no, it's not like a sanction or anything like that. It's just, I'm sure there's a reason why, and they'll explain why, and then they'll, let you know that it's time to start exploring again. What happens if the athlete cancels the commitment? Depending on when you cancel, if you cancel within 7 days and you did provide a deposit, that deposit should be returned. If you cancel outside of that 7 days, clubs can't hold on to your money. So there is those things to consider. Is the open commitment period mandatory for clubs? No, it's not. It's not something that every club will use. It's some competitive clubs in highly populated areas will tend to use it. a little bit more than other ones. So like that's what I said before. Training opportunities in the summer can just be training opportunities, regardless if you participated with that club in the previous season or not. When does the commitment become official? So if you have, I know you committed informally in the summertime, you will be able to get an offer form as soon as they're released. So that is when you actually are considered formally committed to the club. That's when transfer policy would kick in. So that's when you would be officially committed. And do I have to attend all programs offered by the club to earn an offer to commit? A club shouldn't ask you to keep returning to a program if you want to accept an offer. Don't feel like you have to attend all programs that are out there. It's really be very, if you're thinking that this is happening too long, they keep dangling a carrot or what have you, then maybe, they're not serious about a commitment, or they are just looking at this as a training opportunity. During this period, ask questions as well. Always ask questions. I have to say that our clubs are really great people. They're not afraid to answer questions. It's honestly, I understand that it's a very tricky time and it's a very tricky subject when you're talking about your future and a potential spot with a team. But in the end, clubs and coaches just want the best for everybody. They don't want to leave sour taste in anybody's mouth, and they really want to be as transparent as possible. So don't be afraid to ask those questions. I'm sure they'd be more than willing to answer any questions that you have. So that's it for me. Now, questions from the audience?
From the audience, yeah, I've been answering a couple in the chat. There's a couple that I want to ask you. So once, and maybe this is getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but I'll
Sure.
ask anyways. When it comes down to the tryouts in September, do clubs have to have like a certain number of open spots to run tryouts? Or
No.
can they run tryouts even if they only have one spot open?
Yeah. So have a look at we will have a listing on the website where clubs can post how many spots they're looking for, how many teams they'll be running. So that information should be posted on the website. That's made available to them for what they're looking for, and number of spots, positions, things like that.
And can you explain the 7-day grace period for
Sure.
deposit refund in the
Sure.
open commitment period, please?
Yeah, sure. So the reason why we don't have a formal offer period in the summer is because we realize it's a long summer. And LP, I don't know if this is the right term to use, and please correct me if it is, but when you're committing to a club that you played for before, you know that club, you know that program, we're comfortable with, having a formal commitment made at that time. In the summer, when you're exploring new clubs, there is a chance that you might, think that that's the right program for you, and then realize, oh no, I made a big mistake. I can't make that commute in the summer. I can't make that commute during the season. Or they're practicing 3 times a week. I can't do that. So it kind of gives you that little bit of grace period to really evaluate without giving your rights away as a player and having that club to choose whether or not they release you. So that is why that's there. So you do have kind of like this little buffer period to really evaluate, is this what I want to do? It's a long summer, lots of things change. We want to make sure that you're making the right choice for you and still having not having to invoke that release request process.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
it's the yeah, absolutely. And I think it's the juggling act that kind of happens year to year with the tryout window, and it's been happening for years where as the tryout window policy changes, sometimes it's like it always a little bit more towards kind of like clubs having a little bit more control over the process and like or athletes having a bit more control over the process. And I think this is one example of something that's done so you know yeah that helps athletes and give them a little bit more leeway with finding out where they want to where they want to go for this next season. So yeah, thanks, Carrie. Um uh
Oh, are we good? So is that, are we?
yeah, I think we're good. Um yeah.
Okay,
The other questions I did answer in the chat, so let's move on.
gotcha. Okay, tryouts. Woo. This is a very stressful period for everybody, regardless of the amount of education that you bring into this time of year, regardless of the amount of prep you've done, regardless of the policies that are in place. Tryouts are hard. Tryouts are stressful. Tryouts, give everybody butterflies. Even our coaches, even our clubs, they feel the same way when they're walking into this for different reasons, of course, but they they um they just are a very stressful time, and it's a time where really maybe you learn some pretty tough or rewarding life lessons as well. So tryouts start June 5th, or sorry, oh my gosh, September 5th. um that's when, oh goodness me, I apologize here, I'm causing a blank on the dates. Oh my goodness. LPG are you can you still share my screen? Okay.
What's the question, Carrie? I'm on the
I
website.
can't remember when the trial window starts. I'm so sorry. Nerves. See, it's stressful.
September 5th trout process
Okay.
begins.
I was right. I'm sorry. So it starts September 5th. This is before you go into these tryouts, do your research. This is a great time to kind of attend those open gyms, see if that's a program you want to be in the summer months. Look on the websites, find out what the club stands for, their missions, their visions, their values, what they really feel is important. Look at their coaching staff, anything like that. Even looking through past Instagram posts or Facebook posts are really great opportunities to learn about a program that you want to be in, or you think you want to be in. So take a few extra days, weeks, to prepare to start to attend your tryouts. So that would be my big tip for everybody going into this time of year. And when you start your tryouts, clubs now have the opportunity to hand out offers at any time during this process. So you could tend to try out, and you could, depending on how the club manages it, you could walk away with an offer after you leave. Or you might have to attend a couple tryouts before you get an offer. So you can get an offer right away, but there is an expiry date listed on your form. So be sure to really read that and identify that that has to be returned there. So June, I think the first offer starts going out on the 12th, and that was for a few age divisions. If you get an offer on the 6th, you don't have to wait until the 12th to return your offer form. If you know that's a program you want to be in, I strongly encourage you to sign your offer form back. If it's something that you really know you want, you don't feel like you need to attend other tryouts, then send your offer form back. If you're comfortable with your decision, the sooner you let your club know, the better it is for them. It's again, it helps with that administrative process. It helps them get set and ready for the start of the season, because you have to remember our clubs have to deal with deadlines for tournaments and uniforms and all this kind of stuff. And with our first tournament of the year being in November, they're often the registration date deadline for that first tournament in November can be as early as the first week in October, second week in October. So they are really on a bit of a time crunch. And when you consider you got to do uniforms, you got to fill out your rosters, you got to get everybody registered and all this kind of stuff, it's really important for them to kind of start that process as soon as as soon as they can. So you have an expiry date on your offer form, but if you know you want to be a part of that program ahead of time, I strongly encourage you to sign it back. You cannot commit to more than one club during this time. So if you walk away with 2 offer forms at the end of the weekend, you can't sign them both back, obviously, right? And like I said before, please let your club know where you stand as soon as possible. It does have a trickle-down effect, not only for the clubs, but also for other athletes who may be a bubble athlete that might be, really trying to be a part of a program, and, really depends on whether or not other offers are returned if they get sent an offer. So just be wary of that as well. Again, offer form for the tryout period will look pretty much like the offer form for the re-signing period. So review it, ask questions, make sure that you fully understand what you're committing to as well. Season starts in September, ends in April. That's a long time to be a part of something that you're not really sure about. So ask questions, really get an understanding of what you're committing to. Coaches and clubs should not be pressuring you to accept your offer. They can politely ask, hey, have you thought about it? And if you say no, still thinking, obviously that's fine. But if it gets too much, that shouldn't be happening. You do have an expiry date on your offer form for a reason. So, be mindful of that. And I'm going to encourage everybody to review an athlete bill of rights that we have posted online, as you walk into this period. We are going to talk about the athlete bill of rights a little later. Stay tuned for that. Okay, so also another couple resources to educate yourself as well are this re-signed athletes list and a club listing of open roster spots, position, and tryout dates. So this will be posted on our website underneath the tryout section. This is a part of, a little bit of research as well, because this you can say, oh, I'm going to try out for the Spikers. Let's see what the status of their re-signed athletes list is. So they can see, oh, guess what? Their 14 teams don't have any re-signs. So they could be walking into September with a bunch of positions available. So, have a look at that, and that might help you prepare and choose to who you want to try out for. And also have a look at our club listings of open roster spots and positions and tryout dates. It'll start being posted and ready for population towards the beginning of the new season, September 1st, usually, maybe a bit earlier. Well, yes, maybe a bit earlier. And then that'll help you kind of walk into the tryouts a little more prepared. Okay. So, some common questions about the tryouts. I might have said all this already, but when can athletes return their offer forms? Whenever you're ready. It doesn't have to be the expiry date on the form. If you're really excited to be a part of a program, you love the coach, you love their philosophies, you think it's a real good fit, you can return it as soon as you receive it. Can I ask for more time to consider an offer? Yes, you can. It's up to the club whether or not they choose to extend that offer or not. So it's a conversation you would have to have between the club and yourself. Can I negotiate the terms of my resigning offer before accepting? You can ask questions. Strongly recommend you ask, questions. Usually when a club submits an offer form, they're giving you the best possible scenario for your athlete. So the clubs really do take their time in filling out these forms and really do, try to find the best fit for the athlete within the program. So, you can't say, oh, well, I need to negotiate that. Susie is going to play, 2 out of 3 sets each tournament. Like, you can't do that. It's more, making sure you're clear on the coach, your practice times, your actual position within the hierarchy of the teams, things along that line. Can a club take back an offer? No, they can't. So your offer, once you have an offer form in hand, it's good until the expiry date. If you let it go after that expiry date and you don't ask for more time and no extra time is agreed upon, then that offer will expire on the date listed on the form. When does the OVA transfer policy apply? Just like the re-signing period, as soon as you return that offer form and you decide that maybe that's not the right program for you, you have to go through the OVA transfer policy and the release request process. And can club hold tryouts after expiry dates on the offer form? Absolutely. Clubs can continue this tryout process and trying to fill their roster until they're full, until their teams or clubs are, at a capacity, or they're happy with where they are. So the really only date what we have to be wary of when adding new athletes to a roster is February 1st. So tryouts, especially on the boys' side, there are times when tryouts go into October and things along that line. So that's my little package for the tryout section. LP, do we have any questions?
Yes, I answered
Okay.
a bunch of them. Let me just see. Oh, there's a couple more that just popped up. Okay.
Sure.
Carrie, what's the rationale for not requiring offers to be returned within 48 hours?
Well, we have about, I think, 10 days built into when tryouts begin and when the last offers expire. And that's so you can attend multiple tryouts. Some athletes don't know where they fit. So we want to try our best to give you an opportunity to attend different tryouts on different days. I don't think 48 hours would give you enough time to attend club tryouts
Right.
for more than one club.
That's right. Okay. And what is the minimum and maximum days or hours a tryout offer can be set to expire?
So depends on when you get it and when you can return it. So it will list the offer expiry dates for each age division will be different. I believe they start being sent out on the 12th for I think like the 16 and oh my gosh, LP, I don't know. It's in the form. So a club cannot tack on a different expiry date on your form than what's listed on the form. Do you know what I mean? So if the 15U, their offers expire September 14th, then a club can't say my offer expires on the 10th. No. All 15U offer forms expire on the same day.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Is there a situation, Carrie, in which coming back to this is a question coming back to the previous section on re-signing.
Mhm.
Is there a situation in which a club re-signs an athlete and the club decides that they're not gonna honor that offer and they're going to uncommit from that athlete that they re-signed?
No, that offer is good. That offer is they can't renege on that offer. I can honestly say I don't think I've ever had a situation where a club has reneged on an offer like that, or that's been brought to my attention anyway, that I've had to deal with. So yeah, once that offer is sent to you, it's signed and returned, done.
Yeah. And then I think maybe this is worth clarifying because there were a couple of questions on this. And then please add what you need to this, but I guess like tell me if I get this right. The re-signing applies to any age group. So whether
Yeah.
you're 44 or 66, you can re-sign with your club.
Yep.
However, the 4v4 and the 6v6 are the two age groups in which these athletes cannot commit to another club during the open commitment period. Like there is an open commitment period. So if they do want to switch club and go to another club, they're going to have to wait till they get a formal offer in September.
Correct. Yes.
Fantastic. I got it right.
Yeah. Gold star.
There you go. Okay. Now, there were a couple of questions around that topic in chat. So to this last question, can 13 new athletes get an early offer? The answer would be no.
Early offer, informal open commitment offer? No.
So,
Because that's 6v6.
okay,
We consider
but
that 6v6.
right, but if okay, so
But they
13 new
can get a re-signing offer.
they can, yeah. But here's the situation, Carrie. So my son is born in 2013, so next year would be a 13U age athlete, would typically play in 6v6, for example. However, let's say my son is like more mature than his peers and 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 gets an open commitment period offer from a TLS team.
Yes.
Is that allowed?
That's yes, it's considered the age division that you are going to participate in the coming year.
Okay, so it applies to the age group of the team that's making the offer, not the age of the athlete.
Correct.
Okay, important clarification. Thank you. Hope that
And the
helps.
offer form needs to say TLS. It needs to say your age division. If it says anything other than that, I would have a hard time defending that offer should
Yep,
anything go sideways and come across my desk.
right. Okay, that's it, Carrie, for now.
Perfect. Okay, thanks, guys. Let's talk about the athlete bill of rights. It was something that was released last year. I'm not sure if we did a great job of it's just a good tool to read and to kind of understand what's going on out there. The purpose of this document was just to help everybody during this process, to kind of really sit back and think about what's happening here. I strongly encourage everybody to review this with your athlete anytime during the off season, right now, tryout time, whatever, but just have a sit down and review it. It's a responsibility of, you guys to educate yourself about the program and who you're considered joining. It is a little bit of buyer beware. If you are feeling a little bit iffy about a club, then, really take stock into that. It's, again, reviewing a club's website really can educate you a lot, if they have a posted refund policy, if their safe sort practices are clearly made visible. All this stuff really goes into making your decision and really being happy with the program. Both parties really need to be open and transparent during this whole period. That's why I encourage and ask questions. And like I said, I know you feel like a lot's at stake when you ask these questions, but it could really be the difference between having a miserable season and having a great season. I know it seems like our clubs and coaches hold a lot of power, and then I understand that, but they're there to help everybody. They want to make everybody have a good time in their program. So please just ask the questions. It's really worth it. And I really encourage you to prioritize your athlete experience over everything. If your athlete, you got a spot on a really successful club, but you're finding it hard to deal with the coach, that success may not translate into your happiness being a part of a program for such a long period of time. So, if I really, find where your athlete fits the best personality wise, skill wise, even your own family needs wise, whether it's travel time, location for practices, all this kind of stuff really goes a long way in your experience for the whole season. Um, so this document can be found on the club tryout page. LP, do you want to share the document real quick or?
Already done. It's in the chat.
Perfect.
I just sent a message with the link. If you click on it, it will take you directly to the
Perfect.
applicant on the rights. Yeah.
Yeah, and it may sound like common sense stuff, but it really encourages you to learn about the experience and kind of, realize what the clubs have a right to and what you have a right to as well as a consumer and as, you know, somebody who wants the best experience for their athlete. Yeah. Oh, you want anything to add, LP? You good?
Yeah, just want to. The only thing I would say is I think we have a fantastic community.
We
OVA is
do.
OVA is growing, at a crazy pace, and that's amazing. It's amazing to see so many athletes being able to play the sport, and that's thanks to the clubs and the people in the clubs that work really hard to make everything happen. And is everything perfect everywhere? No, but we have great people operating clubs all over the province, and they work really hard, and a lot of them are volunteers, and they really do their best. But then sometimes when there's competition, um, we are tempted to bend the rules. And so, if you find yourself as a parent, as an athlete, in a situation where um, the people that you're interacting with seem to be, bending the rules or um, adopt questionable behaviors with regards to following the rules or not, um, then ask yourself, if that's the people that you want influencing your athlete for an entire season, right? So that's just it. That's a question I would ask. But it's not the norm. The vast majority of our people in our clubs and coaches are doing a great job. So hopefully you have a great time. And those rules are there just to make sure that everyone has a recourse if something happens. So go out there, find yourself a spot to play, and hopefully we'll see you on the courts next year.
Yep, thanks. Yeah, that just goes to speak to my point about prioritize your athlete's experience. Really look to what they want, where they're comfortable playing, rather than, oh, this guy's, level 5, brilliant mind, but, doesn't mean it's always going to be the best fit. Okay, next.
Sorry, I have a question. I don't know if it's the time for it.
Mhm.
It popped up in the chat.
Sure.
So once you're re-signed in June, can you start practicing with your team?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Re-signed athletes can start team activities for sure. Yep. I'm also going to put in a little bit of a PSA as well. Remember, this is the off season, guys. Rest. Remember to prioritize your rest as well. Recovery. Play other sports if you get a chance. It's the off season. Enjoy it. Rest your shoulders, rest your knees. Play beach, right? Something that I can't do. So anyways, just a couple tips and hints for navigating this time of year. Theme of the night, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Make sure you're giving your athlete downtime from the indoor season. Don't feel like you have to go to every open gym. You don't have to, tend to every opportunity that a club has. Make sure your mental health is taken care of. Make sure your body's taken care of. If you need to put your feet up for a couple days, couple weeks, do it. It's really worth it. You guys are young. You have a long career ahead of you. I've had this come across, and these are kind of things that I have to deal with over the years. So beware of promises of playing time. That's always one thing that I am very leery about when I hear it happen. Often it, flows throughout the season. So that can be one of those little indicators that maybe, something's not on the go here. So collecting offers or holding on accepting offers can create major delays for clubs and even have negative effects on other athletes. So if you know where you want to play and you got that offer in hand, please sign it. Let clubs know where they stand. As soon as you know, they have a right to know as well. This whole tryout, offer date and expiry date is not there for offer collection. It's just there to help people find their fit, help people find their club. And then research the club policies and practice before committing to a program. you know, it will probably help you out in realizing if this is a program that you want to be a part of or not. So a couple things to keep in mind while you're navigating this time of the year. I'm here for anybody who has any questions tryout related. I'll do my best to answer them. And that's if you're a club, if you're a coach, if you're a parent, if you're an athlete. My contacts on the website. Feel free to shoot me a question, and I'll do my best to give you the right information. And thank you. Thank you for carving out an hour of your evening for us. We definitely appreciate it.
Fantastic. Carrie, I don't see any other questions that were not answered. And I don't know if there are so many outstanding questions. Maybe we'll give you a few seconds. If not, you can always email us, email Carrie,
Mhm.
and I'll be really happy to answer your questions. And yeah, and Carrie, thank you for walking us through all this information on the Tryout Window. You're truly the utmost expert on this topic here at the OVA. So it's great that we had you do the session and share your all of your tips. So,
Sorry, can I ask a question?
oh yes, Debbie,
Sorry, it's
absolutely.
Debbie. Sorry, I'm new to volleyball. We played, you had answered my question, but so can a 13U athlete get an early offer as of June 1st?
Yeah, they can get a re-signing offer. So there's I think terminology got a little muddled in my head, but re-signing offer, absolutely, yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Great. It's in 4 days. It's going to come
I
really quick.
know, I know, I know.
All right.
And good luck out there, everybody.
Thank you
Absolutely.
very
Good luck.
much.
Have a good evening.